Vincenzo's Go Crypto Investing this July the 8th, 2025, noontime daily cryptocurrency, gold and silver bullion video with truth, trust, education, and information as you join me and continue to participate in my journey and ours to become asset millionaires via gold and silver bullion, cryptocurrencies, 401k, steady investing, real estate, and of course cash on the side. And you can help support the channel for as cheap and easy as $3.99 a month. It's in the video description and or pinned comment. And you can see here with the Bitcoin price, one of two things are about to happen. Either we're about to have a big explosion, and if we zoom out to the daily time frame, we're about to have a big explosion. And you can see if we go to today's date, July the 8th, the 147,000 and change, 148,000 is the upper part of this track. And we'll move it to today's date. It's at 152,168.47, right? We'll get rid of that. But one of two things are going to happen. Either we're going to come up there, like two of the tracks show, and then two of the tracks also show it going to the downside, and that's the reason I put these tracks on there. It goes into the probability base to show you. But with the inflows into the Bitcoin ETF, with all of the major hedge funds and corporate companies pulling a micro strategies all at the same time, and all of them are buying, they've all started to do it up here, right? Up in here. And that's holding the price up because when they buy, there's not sellers, and the coins they buy, they're not selling. And at the time of purchase, that's extra added buyers and buy pressure. So this is either going to go on an extended 3 to 5, a couple of month bull market and end up at 150,000 or near there, near the upper part of this rising channel. Like you can see, this rising channel started all the way back here in 2021 in the COVID pump. And you can see that we have to go to the monthly time frame to look at it better, but you can see it there. But that almost looks like my classic turtle shell and then its head, the turtle's head, right? See that, the shell and the head? It's like a conveyor with the rising channel, but eventually at the top of the pattern, they more times than not, 7.5 out of 10, come back down to the technical target. And that would be where the pattern started. And that's something that we're looking at to see if that happens, or is the short-term buy pressure too much via the major institutions and ETF inflows, or are we going to come down and have a quick reversal and shock everybody and have something that retests the 100,000 uptrending rising channel, and maybe potentially a couple of spots lower, either at the 97,000 or at the 89,000, right? That's something that we're watching. Right now, it's just been trading sideways, essentially, ever since we had the brief all-time high. We had one swing low to retest that rising channel that we just talked about, and now we've just been trading sideways for about 10 days now. So we're going to continue to watch that. Bitcoin dominance is up there near its cycle high at 66.12% dominance. And that would be a high since the COVID 2021, right? And then you can see when COVID happened and we had the big rally and a lot of the altcoins flying, we had a big dump in the Bitcoin dominance. But ever since we've had the big altcoin tank job, Bitcoin dominance has obviously risen, and that's why the altcoins have fallen off much more than Bitcoin has. The Ethereum price is easy. If we're above these three moving averages right there, the 200 and the 100 and the 50s right there, you're bullish, and you would come up to this $3,067 like we've been talking about. But if you slip these moving averages and get short-term bearish by being underneath it, you would at first come to this cycle low, maybe some trading, and then if you couldn't reclaim the moving averages, your major underneath support is that $1,800. The XLM price, we're still trying to see if we can't do what XRP did and get all the way on top of its initial 25-cent support. We'll delete that, which you can see we came up to yesterday right here, had a couple of rejections, which you would expect when you're retesting it, trying to come by. You can see those 3 rejections, but to me, what it looks like it's doing is it's making those rejections, and now it's going to force through it, and it's going to eventually end up on the top side of this 27.5 cents here in the short term. And that's something that I'm watching on the XLM price to see if it does what XRP did. You can see when XRP did it, it bounced in, then came back and retested it, and then shot up and consolidated sideways. That's what I'm watching for XLM to do here in the short term, and I think it's probably going to do it. It's already come this far, but if it does get rejected in a hook nose pattern, obviously your recent cycle low and the hour time frame would be your initial major underneath support, followed by your local cycle low from about 6 or 8 weeks ago, right? And that's what would happen on the bearish side. And then we talked about the bullish side, which I'm hedging, and I think it's probably going to do in the short term. And then in maybe a day or two, I think it's going to be sitting up there potentially, right? But the Fed is talking tomorrow, and it looks like the Fed's not going to lower interest rates, which is going to be bearish for risk assets and cryptos and the stock market. It might have a slight sell-off, even though they're sort of priced that in already. It's going to be more about what he says, more so than when he says that they're not going to lower rates, because pretty much everyone already assumes that. If we look at the XRP price, we're up into this area. We've been talking about this the last several days. This is your major resistance zone when you're coming from below it like you are now. When you're bouncing off the neckline, you bounce up like this. You come up in the major resistance because you're coming from below it. But on the flip side, when you're coming down to this 209 neckline support, you can see how the volume starts to bleed out south of there to nothing, just like it bleeds out north of that. So there's a lot of buyers, so it's been bouncing off of there. But you can see this area that's been a sniping zone for selling pretty much this whole year is anytime it gets up and around that 229 to 240 range, you get sold off, right? You peak above it every now and then, but you get sold off. And you can even see that stretching back in April all the way through about the beginning of the year, right? So this is what we're talking about right now, and what we talked about yesterday is if you stay above these uptrending moving averages in the daily time frame right there, you can bounce off to the upside. I see her, it's lunchtime. It'll bounce off to the upside, and it can come to the $2.55 level right here, and you could make your next major move if you can stay above these moving averages and come all the way up to the $2.48 level. If you lose that and slip back below these moving averages, what is this thing doing? If you slip back below these moving averages, it'll start using it as resistance, and you would trade quickly down to the 200-day moving average in the daily just above the 209 neckline support in the short term. So that's what we're looking at there. The AMP, you can see on the AMP, 2
new text messages.
The AMP, oh, this is our AMP. We're still, you can see we're slightly and just above this 0.00315 pattern support level. You can see right here, pattern support. We want to hold above this pattern support because eventually I do think we will break out. It's just when do we eventually break out? The track says, which is the track has been right. And you can see when I come in the background, you can see the track did say we had to come lower and we had to come longer before this next run. But I do believe eventually we are going to break up back into this 2 to 5 cents, because you can see the volume on a lot of these coins has done this. But at least AMP, you can see with the mean of the volume there in the monthly time frame, even during this 99% sell-off, the volume has steadily increased, which is bullish long term, right? So that's something very positive to look at there. And I do think eventually, whether this breaks back down, I think this is one of the coins that has a very good shot of getting back into that green support and resistance box at some point. And something that leads more confidence is at least you're getting more volume in there and in the mean, right? So that's very important and very critical. Well, like the channel, subscribe. Peace and love. The Rex Eyebrow J.